You're listening to Ed Talks. Ed Talks, where anything is in the realm of possibility. Hey guys, welcome to Ed Talks. This is Season 1, Episode 2, entitled, What the Hell Are You Eating? So, today's main topic is going to be all the wonderful additives and preservatives that are in your food that could be harming you. Now, if I told you there was paint stripper in your food, would you be surprised? Well, don't be, because it is. This is not a lie, people. This is real. So stay tuned, because we're going to be discussing all the harmful additives and preservatives that are in your food, poisoning you, causing cancer, diabetes, and other illnesses. What else are we going to talk about today? Well, last time we did some weird but true stories, and since we're talking about food, those are all going to be food related. But up next, there's a umpire in Major League Baseball suing the commissioner for racial discrimination. And that is next. Hey guys, welcome back. Today, we're going to be talking about the topic, what the hell are you eating? We're going to be discussing all the wonderful additives and preservatives that are making you fat, diabetic, having high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Yeah, it's all due to the wonderful things they're putting in our food. Would you be surprised at knowing that an ingredient used in antifreeze is being used in your food? That is no lie, people. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But first, Major League Baseball umpire Angel Hernandez has filed a lawsuit against the league and Commissioner Rob Manfred, alleging racial discrimination in baseball's promotion and postseason assignment policies, according to Cincinnati Enquirer's James Pilcher. Hernandez, 55, says in the suit that Major League Baseball has repeatedly passed him over for possible World Series assignments despite high marks on evaluations. There are nearly 100 umpires employed at Major League Baseball, yet only 10 are African American or Hispanic. According to research by the Enquirer, only one non-white umpire has worked the World Series since 2011, and only one minority umpire has ever been permanently assigned as a crew chief. That's a significantly different breakdown from the player demographics, which show 31.9% of players are Latino and 42.5% are non-white, according to the 2017 racial and gender report card. The selection of these less qualified white individuals over Hernandez was motivated by racial, national origin, and/or ethnic considerations, the lawsuit says. Hernandez, who has been an umpire with Major League Baseball since 1993, worked at the World Series in 2002 and 2005, but has not received the assignment since. There's extra compensation for umpires who worked at World Series, so missing out on those assignments is a lost opportunity at more income. The suit also alleges that he has been passed over as a potential permanent crew chief on multiple occasions. Hernandez filed 2 discrimination charges last month with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. His suit against MLB and Manfred seeks back pay and unspecified compensatory damages. Okay, so first of all, there's one thing in this article that wasn't mentioned that I had read in another article, and that's the fact that out of all the umpires, the players have rated him the lowest, receiving 22% out of 100% rating. So that shows you right there that he hasn't really done a favorable job in the eyes of the players and the managers. So let's start with the first thing. Now, before we get into this, is there racism in the world? Of course there is. There's racists against anybody. Everybody, every race can be a victim of racism at one point in their life. But and as a Hispanic male, I'm a minority. So even me being a minority, I'm going to break it down like this. Only 10% of the umpires are non-white. So right there, you have a small demographic. So the chances are even lower for you. I don't even think that race is even an issue. I just think he's not happy with where he is in his current job. He's disgruntled. He's missing out on high-paying opportunities. But like I said, he only has really, if you think about it, a 1 in 10 chance anyhow. I mean, not even that. A 1 in 100 chance, because there's 100 umpires employed in Major League Baseball. So, with minorities, there's only 1/10 of the umpires are minorities. So in that aspect, 1 in 10 minority umpires have a chance at the World Series, the All-Star Game, etc. And so right there, even before all that, your chances are small. Okay, now on top of that, your rating is 22%. If I was at my job and I got a rating of 22%, do you think I would be promoted? Do you think I would get bumped up? Do you think I would get a raise? This is not racial discrimination, man. You suck. Your rating is low. People do not like you. And now he's umpiring the All-Star Game. Because, and here Major League Baseball doesn't want to hear about this. They already have a blemish on their record anyway, because I believe it was Adam Jones, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, but he was, I think, it was him, like I said, that came out and said that there were Boston fans, calling him the N-word during a baseball game, and he said that that's not the first time that's happened, and there was a few other, black players that said the same thing. So, and with this whole Angel Hernandez situation, it comes, in my opinion, perfect timing after they've already been hit with some racial tension there in Boston and in other ballparks. Major League Baseball has taken steps to tell fans that they're not tolerating that, and they'll be ejected from the game if they make any racist remarks to the player or any of the fans. So, like I said, it was perfect timing. It's a blemish that Major League Baseball doesn't want, and it's a sensitive topic right now since it's right after the Adam Jones incident, like I said, if it was Adam Jones. So, like I said, it's perfect timing. He got to umpire the All-Star game after complaining because the Major League Baseball doesn't want to deal with it, and rightfully so. But like I said, man, 22%, come on, man. 22% is not good in anything. It's not good in school. It's not good at your job. It's 22% sucks. And not to mention, 22% was the lowest rating of all 100 umpires. So I hope he loses this suit. And I hope he gets fired. To say that there's racial profiling when almost over 40% of the league are minority players. So I call bullshit on that one. But anyway, enough of that. Like I said, we're going to be getting into the wonderful, and if you haven't noticed by now, I'm saying that sarcastically, the wonderful additives and preservatives that are in your food that you're consuming every day that could be causing cancer, obesity, high blood pressure, and everything else. So stay tuned for that. But up next, the food version of Weird But True News Stories. Hey guys, welcome back to Ed Talks. I'm your host, Eddie Ortega. Today, we're going to be talking about the topic, what the hell are you eating? And we're going to be diving into all the great and wonderful tasty additives and preservatives that they're putting in our food that are literally poisoning our bodies. That's up in a little bit, but first, our weird but true stories, food style. So, here's a little comment. I read this earlier and I wrote it down. I thought it was pretty funny. It says, there's a good reason most restaurants don't let you watch them cook your food. And it goes along the lines of what you don't know won't hurt you. We eat all kinds of odd things, from those reveled by other cultures to everyday snacks with hair-raising additives, which we'll be getting in later. And then, so I pulled up 10. These are kind of short. So I pulled up 10 short, funny, weird news stories. So the first one goes, the Canadian maple syrup heist. Maple syrup is one of the most expensive things you can pour on your pancakes. A bottle generally retails for well over $20. Really? I didn't think syrup was that damn expensive. Maybe the actual real 100% maple syrup. But part of the expense involved in the syrup is the great inefficiency in producing it. It requires anywhere from 5 to 13 gallons of maple sap to make just 1 quart of syrup. Wow, I did not know that. To make sure that it has enough to meet the international demand, the Canadian province of Quebec maintains a global strategic maple syrup reserve. In 2012, during an audit, it was discovered that 6 million pounds of the syrup, worth about 18 million wholesale, has been stolen in a daring heist. This was not some smash and grab theft. It would have taken dozens of trucks to move so many barrels. In the subsequent months, several arrests were made, and some 2/3 of the missing syrup was recovered. Well, thank God, because we probably would have been paying $50 for some syrup. All right, so this one is the most stolen food. Asked to guess the most frequently stolen food on the planet, some might guess candy or alcohol or even steak. But according to multiple studies, up to 4% of the cheese put up for sale ends up pilfered. Next time you're in the market, pay attention to the way the store displays cheese, particularly the valuable imported kinds. Generally, it is centrally located and well lit to keep thieves from scampering off. The phenomenon is not completely understood, though researchers indicate that cheese is relatively expensive, easy to conceal, and can be resold to other stores or restaurants. Black market cheese is a big business. I've never gotten my cheese from the black market. Anyhow, next, eggs. American and Canadian tourists traveling outside their respective countries are often astonished to see eggs sitting out at room temperature. They would probably be even more shocked to find out that in the countries of the European Union, the eggs they are getting are straight from the chicken. They have not been sanitized or washed in any fashion. A chicken actually imparts a liquid coating around its egg called a cuticle, which protects against contamination. The layer is mostly removed by cleaning, which involves washing the egg with water of at least 90 degrees and an odorless detergent. The washing actually makes the egg more porous and susceptible to contamination, so it must be kept in the refrigerator. The counterproductivity and expenses of this process is astonishing, but American shoppers do not seem soon to relent. That's interesting. Wow. I just don't understand why it would need to be done. I mean, the cost, it says there that the counterproductivity and expense of this process is astonishing. I think maybe it has to do with just Americans' way of thinking about food. That could be my only, or maybe, I don't know, I have no idea. Anyhow, ice cream. With dozens and dozens of ice creams available on the market, a distinctive taste sets a company apart from its competitors. The largest producer of ice cream is the United States. Go figure. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The largest producer of ice cream in the United States is Dreyer's, which includes the Edy's and Haagen-Dazs, due in no small part to their official taste tester, John Harrison. Harrison travels throughout the country to different Dreyer's plants to impart his expertise. He uses a gold spoon, which does not impart any flavor to the ice cream. Does not impart any flavor to the ice cream. His taste buds are insured for $1 million. Are you kidding me? He helped create several different popular flavors of ice cream, including the Oreo-based cookies and cream. Other ice cream makers use different philosophies using fresh, local ingredients. Vermont's Ben & Jerry's is a crowd favorite. Their ice cream is noted for large chunks of things like brownies and fruit, added in response to co-founder Ben Cohen's insomnia. He cannot smell. Insomnia means he cannot smell. He can barely taste anything. Since Cohen couldn't really taste anything he was eating, he tended to add more stuff to satisfy a need for texture. Wow. I was thinking first that would be a good job to have, is going around the country getting paid. He probably gets paid a lot of money to go around tasting ice cream, but I'm sure he's probably not in the greatest of health. And I see a picture here. I mean, he looks like an older guy, so, it looks like he's made it for a while. But he doesn't look very skinny. So, who knows? Anyhow, mushrooms. People are rarely ambivalent about mushrooms. They are generally a food that is either loved or despised. What do you think? I'm more on the despised side. Although I can have mushrooms on my pizza if it's covered up pretty good. But I just don't like the texture. I think it's the texture that I really don't like about mushrooms. Anyway, regardless of one's opinion of their taste, they are marvelously interesting organisms. Some, like the awesomely named Western North American destroying angel. Wow. I don't think I would ever eat anything called the Western North American destroying angel. It can be deadly. Well, I guess I would guess that. I guess, and others like the Psilocybus, I guess it's called, magic mushrooms, result in profound psychedelic experiences. There are 71 known species of mushrooms that glow in the dark. That's interesting. And there is even a type called Laetiporus that is said to taste like chicken. Hey, I might like that mushroom. It depends on the consistency. Most recently, scientists have discovered that running electricity through mushrooms can more than double their production, a fact that has been known to Japanese farmers for generations. Lightning hitting fields for shiitake farmers' yields. The scientists are not entirely sure what causes this phenomenon, but it's most likely a kind of defense mechanism amping up reproductive capabilities in the face of a hazard. Just what we need, more mushrooms. Gatorade. Gatorade was invented in 1965 by University of Florida professor, nephrologist, which is a kidney specialist, Robert Cade, which makes sense. Florida Gators, Gatorade. And it was invented by Florida professor Robert Cade and staff to help keep football players hydrated. While today's product line features a veritable rainbow of flavors, the early stuff was pretty much water, sugar, salt, and some lemon juice for taste. When Cade unveiled his beverage to the Gators team, tackle Larry Gagner tried some, announced this stuff tastes like piss, and dumped the rest of the cup onto his head. The staff was intrigued at the comparison. According to Cade, none of us had tasted urine. We wee-weed in a cup and dabbed a finger. You know what? There's a significance. It says, we weed in a cup and dabbed a finger. You know what? There is a significant difference in flavor. Wow. Okay. Sushi. Prior to the explosion in popularity of sushi, many fish such as the bluefin tuna were so plentiful that they were used as cat food. Today, the bluefin is one of the most highly valued creatures in the world, with exceptional specimens fetching hundreds of thousands of dollars. With the expense rising and the ocean's population falling, many sushi restaurants take advantage of most people's inability to distinguish between types of fish, often substituting cheaper species. In the United States, many establishments selling tuna are actually pushing escolar, also known as the oil fish or snake mackerel. Escolar has a staggering oil content known to have a laxative effect in many people. Many countries throughout the world consider escolar toxic. Its sale and has been banned in Japan. Its sale has been banned in Japan since 1977, but many American diners still unwittingly consume it each day and pay for it in the bathroom. Well, you know, if you eat sushi and you have the explosive poops, well, you know why. It's because they're using escolar. And I wouldn't return because it's banned in other countries. But, you know, America, they like to use banned substances. Anyhow, let's get on to the next one. This is called the ancient snack. Woolly mammoths lived beside early man, but the vast majority became extinct around 10,000 years ago. The last isolated populations died out around the time the Great Pyramid of Giza was built. We know so much about these magnificent creatures because many of them roamed in areas like the Siberian tundra, where they were frozen and quite well preserved after death. So well preserved that modern humans have eaten thawed mammoth meat. There are many stories of feasts of these ancient elephant ancestors, and while many are dubious, some are quite well verified. Not surprisingly, descriptions of the meat range from awful to rotten. You think? And they thought something that was a meat that was 10,000 years old was going to taste good. Zoology professor Dale Guthrie offers a remarkable, generous explanation of the flavor. He and his team cooked some mammoth from a 36,000-year-old carcass found near Fairbanks, Alaska, into a stew. He wrote the meat was well aged but still a little tough, and it gave the stew a strong Pleistocene aroma, whatever that means. And that's what it says. Okay. Cannibalism. Despite being seen by most modern humans as the ultimate taboo, cannibalism has been practiced in every part of the world and is still more frequent than most of us would like to believe. Many of the civil conflicts in Central Africa, particularly the Congo, have resulted in cannibalism, and primordial tribes like New Guinea's Karawai sometimes indulge in the consumption of human flesh. That said, the natural, although somewhat macabre question most people would ask themselves would be, what does it taste like? Accounts vary somewhat, but a rather concise explanation comes from William Bueller Seabrook, a reporter who received a chunk of flesh from a hospital intern at the Sorbonne in Paris. Seabrook cooked it, later writing, it was like good, fully developed veal, not young, but not yet beef. It was very definitely like that, and it was not like any other meat I have ever tasted. It was so nearly like good, fully developed veal that I think no person with a palate of ordinary, normal sensitiveness could distinguish it from veal. So, human meat tastes like veal. All right. This is the last one. It's called Perfect Food. You would be hard-pressed to find someone who doesn't like the taste of ketchup, and for good reason. Unlike nearly every food on the planet, ketchup, particularly the Heinz variety, satisfies the entire palate. Simultaneously salty, sweet, sour, bitter, and umami, which means savory, the flavor profile created by adding MSG, another one of those great additives, monosodium glutamate. Heinz is very carefully mixed so that no one part of its recipe overwhelms the taste buds. Lesser ketchups are not so neatly balanced and tend to have a note that you can focus on, like that of vinegar or the sweetness of the tomatoes. This is why over 100 years since its first hit shelves, Heinz remains so popular, selling some 650 million bottles annually. Unlike many other foods, you will rarely encounter new and improved ketchup. It's already perfect. Alrighty. So that was Weird But True Stories, the food version. In a little bit, we're going to be talking about the different additives in your food, the preservatives and additives that could be killing you slowly. And that's in a little bit. But first, how about the dirtiest restaurants in America? That's next. Okay, guys, welcome back. You're listening to Ed Talks. I'm your host, Eddie Ortega. And today we're going to be talking about the different additives and the different preservatives in your food that's making you super healthy. Not. Anyhow, that's in a little bit. But how about we talk about the dirtiest restaurants in the world, or not in the world, in the United States. And now, before I say this, these reports were made during the time of an inspection. Since then, these restaurants may or may have not corrected the issue. So this is not to defame any restaurant owner or organization. This is simply noting the facts. And like I said, they all may have corrected the issues since the report's been out. Anyhow, let's go to Muncie, Indiana, at a restaurant called QL's. Muncie residents have known that QL's was the spot for solid barbecue in town for generations. But in 2013, they got an unpleasant surprise after health inspectors audited the eatery and discovered some of the grossest food storage decisions ever made. 23 different violations were discovered during the inspection, from mundane things like flies and rodent droppings to health hazards that were a little more exotic. A shed behind the restaurant was full of rotting turkey carcasses. Employees were throwing plastic bottles into the smoker that cooked the food. Oh my God. And chest freezers were full of maggot-ridden meat. Oh. The restaurant didn't even have hot water or working bathrooms. The city shut it down immediately for the owners to get their act together. And as of press time, it still seems like they have. And this was the report was in 2016. All right. So let's go to New York, at a restaurant called Prosperity Dumpling. New York City has more restaurants per square foot than just about any place on earth. Are you sure about that? Have you been to Toledo, Ohio? I believe at one time Toledo, Ohio was the restaurant capital of the world, or at least of the United States. I'm not sure if that's true. We were also the bar capital of the world with the most bars per capita. But anyhow, New York City has, okay, we already been through that. So it's not surprising that some of them are dirty as hell. The warren of the crooked streets and the back alleys that make up Chinatown are especially fertile ground for the health inspector. And in 2015, one eatery pushed the sanitation envelope to the limit. Prosperity Dumpling was a popular spot that sold dumplings at $1 a pop, but they were skimping on cleanliness and passing the savings along to the consumer. When a photo surfaced of 3 employees assembling dumplings with a rat-infested back alley behind the restaurant and not even wearing gloves, the health department swept in and closed them down for good. Wow. I just don't understand. How can you let a restaurant get that way? Anyway, Nikki's Chinese Food in Hyde Park, Illinois. Chinese restaurants are notorious for their somewhat lax food safety standards, and Nikki's might be the bottom of the barrel. This Hyde Park slop house is famous for the incredibly low quality of their food and service. Delivery drivers have gotten in trouble for keeping the numbers of attractive customers and texting them later. And people dining in report staples and other foreign objects in the food. Most disturbing, however, are the reports from their health department inspections, with 2014 reported literally hundreds of mouse droppings all over the kitchen floors and flies swarming in multiple areas. Pizza Hut in Kermit, West Virginia. Chain restaurants have a complicated relationship with hygiene, as evidenced by Chipotle closing doors all over the West Coast after an E. coli outbreak. But patrons of a Pizza Hut in the quaint little town of Kermit, West Virginia, had a bad taste in their mouth once surveillance footage of the pizza parlor's kitchen leaked. No pun intended. The tape showed an employee walking over to the dishwashing sink, unbuttoning his pants and taking a piss into it. The same sink used to wash kitchen utensils used to prepare food. Health inspectors closed the place down immediately, and Pizza Hut's parent company confirmed that the location would never open again. So foul was the taint of urine on the public conscience. All right. The Mandarin House in Knoxville, Tennessee. Here's another Chinese spot. I'm seeing a trend here. Here's another Chinese spot where health inspectors were flabbergasted by the insane levels of filth on display in the kitchen. When Knox County Health Department headed to Mandarin House after a patron complained about getting sick after eating there, they weren't prepared for what they found. In addition to the usual screw-ups like improper food storage, they also found a colony of cockroaches swarming behind loose tiles in the dish room. Chicken blood dripping down onto pre-fried food that was to be served to the customers, and one employee cooking a piece of meat that fell on the floor. Thankfully, they stopped him from serving it, but that's a pretty grim state of affairs. I would say so. I don't know what this guy's doing. This is in Lucky River, San Francisco, or this is Lucky River in San Francisco, California. This guy looks like he's throwing frozen meat onto the concrete, but let's read and see what this says. In some way, I feel like I shouldn't have so many Chinese restaurants on the list, as they're such easy targets. But when something as horribly absurd as what went down in San Francisco's Lucky River goes down, it'd be a crime to admit it. In 2012, a passerby pulled out their camera phone to document a restaurant employee taking huge slabs of meat and beating them against the filthy city sidewalk. When the health department came to investigate, the restaurant told them that he was just trying to defrost it. I know some people think using a microwave is unhealthy, but sure beats rubbing ingredients on asphalt caked with old gum, cigarette butts, and dog poop. The cook was fired, but the restaurant's bad reputation lives on. All right. This is Best Wings in Lawrenceville, Georgia. Most health departments use a 1 to 100 scale for grading eateries, with 100 being the standard that all should aspire to. Anything under an 80 is cause for concern. So you can imagine how locals in Lawrenceville felt when Best Wings pulled in a flabbergasting 35 in 2014. The multitude of violations laid down upon the restaurant, including making tzatziki sauce out of expired sour cream, storing fully cooked meat with unwrapped raw chicken and serving it, oh my God, and keeping mysterious containers of unlabeled chemicals in the kitchen and storage area. This wasn't the first go-around for Best Wings. In 2013, they scored nearly as bad, 39. And yet, another Chinese restaurant in Opelika, Florida. Restaurant kitchens are, by nature, pretty cramped spaces. Yeah, you want to have as much room for tables as you can, so owners have to squeeze every square foot. That means the chefs don't have a lot of breathing room, so when it comes time to thaw out ingredients to be cooked, they have to be creative. The staff at China City and Opelika needed to get some chicken ready for the dinner rush, but didn't have any place inside to thaw it. So they did what came naturally, left it out in the alley. What the hell? Unfortunately for China City, that was the day the health inspector paid a visit to follow up on an earlier rodent problem. Seeing loose chicken unattended in the alley is a big no-no, if you haven't guessed. The restaurant took home 26 violations that day and had to close down to get their act together. Do you think, what's the next restaurant on the list? Well, would you be surprised if I told you it was another Chinese restaurant? The Red Flower Chinese in Williamsburg, Kentucky. Man, this makes me not want to eat at a Chinese restaurant anymore. One common thread in these grotesque restaurants is the presence of things in the kitchen that just shouldn't be there. We can sort of understand roaches and mice. Those vermin have plagued humanity's food stockpiles since the dawn of civilization. But a Chinese restaurant in Kentucky went way outside the box in 2012 when customers spotted employees stuffing a bloody deer carcass into a trash can. They called the health inspector, who rushed to the scene and confirmed that one of the workers had stopped on its way to the restaurant to pick up a roadkill deer on I-75 and brought it into the food preparation area to clean it. What the... Needless to say, this insane breach of sanitary standards got Red Flower Chinese shut down immediately. All right, so one more is called Mar y Tierra in Lilburn, Georgia. A Mexican restaurant. All right. We've shared some pretty dank numbers from restaurant inspections so far, but how low can they really go? One Georgia restaurant managed to pull a staggering 13 in 2008. Mar y Tierra, a low-rent family Mexican place, was closed down immediately after an inspection that revealed dozens of health hazards in the kitchen. Some of the most egregious included a cooler covered in black mold, raw chicken being stored on top of fresh vegetables that were served without cooking, and multiple instances of sewage and wastewater systems not working. The manager claimed that he wasn't aware of Georgia's food service safety standards, which begs the question, in what state is black mold okay to serve on a burrito? Alrighty. So, that is the dirtiest restaurants in America. Up next, what the hell are you eating? Hey guys, welcome back. It's time for the main event. What the hell are you eating?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Hi guys, welcome back. This is your host, Ed Talks.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Most people, myself, I'm not
Y'all ready for this?
But, so we're just going to go ahead and get into it. And we're going to go in kind of like an alphabetical order. There's a lot here, but we'll get into some of the top ones. The first one is called acrylamides. They're toxic, cancer-causing chemicals formed in foods when carbohydrates are exposed to high heat. They're present in everything from bread, crusts, to snack chips, and because they aren't intentional ingredients, acrylamides do not have to be listed on the label. All right. I feel like this isn't even, people that know me closely know I'm on a low-carb diet for health reasons. This just helps me along my path, because if carbohydrates have acrylamides in them that are toxic and cause cancer, it's whatever. Carbohydrates are the enemy. It's not fat. And I'm going to get into what I feel about this whole situation and the FDA involvement and my theory behind it after we get into all the nice chemicals and additives here. So next is aspartame. Aspartame is found in diet sodas, which I used to drink a lot. I do admit I will have one here and there, but not as much as I used to have. I used to have diet soda several times a day. Now I might have it once a week. But anyhow, aspartame. Aspartame is a chemical sweetener that causes neurological disorders, seizures, blurred vision, and migraine headaches. So if you drink diet soda and you keep getting migraines, maybe cut out the diet soda, see if that helps. But I want to get into aspartame a little bit, and these are 10 reasons to avoid aspartame at all costs. The first one is eye problems. Some cases of eye pain, blurred vision, and dry eyes have allegedly been linked to aspartame consumption. In fact, even the FDA, which is the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, has found a connection between aspartame ingestion and eye problems, including decreased vision, according to several controlled studies. Wow. All right. Next, we already got into headaches and migraines, so we won't get into that. Diabetes issues. Though artificial sweeteners are a common alternative for those with diabetes, and that's the reason why I chose diet sodas, because my blood sugar was high and I was diagnosed with diabetes. On my low carb diet, however, I'm on the path to reversing that. anyhow, let's get into this here. It says, although artificial sweeteners are a common alternative for those with diabetes, there's enough controversy around aspartame that it may not be a good idea to consume even if you're diabetic. Some studies suggest that aspartame might increase insulin sensitivity, and a study done by the American Diabetes Association raises concerns that diabetics who eat meals with aspartame before exercise may see a drop in glucose levels. According to research from the American Diabetes Association, artificial sweeteners do impact the body's response to sugar. This means that a diet high in artificial sweeteners can affect diabetes risk even if the product contains 0 calories from sugar. Due to studies like this one, many diabetes specialists feel that aspartame might not be a safe alternative to sugar and suggest those with diabetes avoid it. So those with diabetes, if you're listening, avoid diet soda with aspartame. If you can find a soda that has any other type, as a matter of fact, I would cut soda out altogether. I would drink something more natural like iced tea. But aspartame prevents weight loss. When you're trying to lose weight, it's common to look for foods that are low in carbohydrates and sugar, and there are many options readily available. However, low sugar items are typically sweetened with an artificial sweetener like aspartame that won't necessarily help you lose weight. In fact, processed diet foods may prevent weight loss. It's believed that your body expects the carb based on the taste of the food. When it doesn't get them, it causes hunger pangs and binge eating. Instead of filling the sugar gap with diet items, eat fresh food and drink water with lemon, lime, or cucumber so you get the carbonation you crave without the sugar. All right. Next, enhances mood disorders. There's a study that was stopped prematurely because the effects were so severe. If you suffer from or have a history of depression, your doctor should be aware of your diet, including any foods that contain aspartame. We're only into aspartame, guys. There's still a lot left. Inflammation and joint pain, stomach cramps, increased risk of seizures. According to Livestrong.com, aspartame is the #1 food item that the FDA receives complaints about. It is believed that as much as 30% of people are sensitive to aspartame. Interestingly, there are over 1,000 cases of pilot complaints about aspartame, with seizures topping the list. Man. It's possible that the methanol in aspartame is found in diet sodas causes a more severe toxic reaction when consumed at high altitudes, such as on a plane. The other theory is that pilots consume more diet soda during flight, increasing the possibility of side effects like seizures. Hearing problems. FDA has a list of around 90 documented symptoms related to aspartame consumption. Hearing loss, ringing and buzzing in the ears, and noise intolerance are a few of those symptoms. Man. All right. And the last one, controversial cancer studies. Aspartame has allegedly been linked to some forms of cancer. While it's been approved for use by the FDA, and I can't trust the FDA as far as I can throw them, and I'll get into that later. And since its use in food is controlled, concerns continue to mount over how your body absorbs aspartame. Unlike other popular artificial sweeteners, your body metabolizes aspartame when you ingest it, changing its compounds. So, if I were you, I would just avoid aspartame altogether. All right, next we have BPA. BPA is a hormone mimicking chemical found in nearly all food packaging plastics. Active in just parts per million, BPA, parts per billion, that means it's active at a very small amount. BPA promotes cancer, infertility, and hormone disorders. It also feminizes males, promoting male breast growth and hormone disruption. People, I know it's hard, believe me. Like I said, I'm not trying to be hypocritical because I'm eating these foods sometimes as well. I'm just trying to present the facts. And I drink bottled water, so this scares me because you're talking about plastic bottles, plastic water bottles that have BPA that causes cancer, infertility, hormone disorders, and feminizes males. But this is in our food. And the good old FDA just lets it go. And like I said, I have a theory on that one. Next one we have casein. Casein are milk proteins. Hilariously, this is widely used in soy cheese products that claim to be an alternative to cow's milk. Good old trickery there. So casein is a protein found in cow's milk and other dairy products made from cow's milk. It makes up the majority of the protein found in milk and dairy products. All right. So some of the things that casein, the dangers of casein, cancer. All right, I'm seeing a little, we're only a little ways in and we're already seeing some trends here. So in the China study, Dr. T. Colin Campbell explains the apparent link between the occurrence of cancer and consumption of animal protein. What he was able to find was casein, which is 85% of the protein in dairy, promoted cancer in all stages of its development. He concluded that the only safe protein was plant-derived protein. The amount of cancer growth could be controlled based on the amount of casein in the diets of the laboratory animals. This indicates that cancer could be avoided by shunning animal proteins, specifically casein. You know, this is one of those things where, guess what? I am just going to say I'm going to get cancer because I'm not going away from meat. I mean, I understand, but these are chances. But, you know, you got to enjoy your life. But I would say limit yourself to what, you know, if you can live without it, do without it. But there's certain things like myself, like I said, man, I got to have my meat. You can also get respiratory problems. Casein is thick, coarse, and often used to form the strongest glue known to man. It's also a strong mucus-forming substance. Well, I can attest to that because, you know, I used to drink milk a lot, not so much anymore being on a low carb diet, but I remember, you know, it does produce mucus, and that's why they say don't drink it if you have congestion. But anyway, there is 300% more casein in cow's milk than in human milk. Due to this high amount of casein in the diet, the human respiratory system can become clogged and irritated. When the respiratory system becomes clogged and irritated, your body is more susceptible to hay fever, asthma, bronchitis, sinusitis, colds, runny noses, ear infections, and the common allergy to dairy. Next we have high fructose corn syrup. Since the late 1980s, high fructose corn syrup has replaced regular table sugar, honey, and similar sweeteners. And it's probably because it's cheaper. And we'll get into that in a little bit because it seems to be common amongst major food manufacturers that they're not really concerned about our safety. They're more interested in saving money. But anyhow, prolonged consumption of high fructose corn syrup is the topic of debate. And like other genetically modified products, there's the GMO, genetically modified organisms. That's going to be another topic I'm going to cover in the future. But anyhow, like other high fructose corn syrup, like other genetically modified products, may be bad for your health. A number of studies conducted over the past few decades includes consumption of high fructose corn syrup is connected with some major health concerns. Number one being the significant risk of weight gain and obesity. A study conducted by Princeton University found that rats that were fed high fructose corn syrup gained fat 300% more quickly than those fed an equal or slightly larger serving of fruit-derived sugar. 2. Increased risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Consumption of high fructose corn syrup can lead to huge increase in the likelihood of developing diabetes. This lifelong condition can be avoided in most cases. Excessive amounts of soda, energy drinks, and junk food aren't worth losing a foot or going blind for. If you don't know, type 2 diabetes, your nerves go bad, you can go blind, you can lose limbs. That's the truth, people. Watch out for that high fructose corn syrup. It also causes hypertension and elevated bad cholesterol levels. It causes liver damage. Like anything else you eat or drink, your liver, gallbladder, and kidneys processes high fructose corn syrup, and it's especially destructive to your liver. When combined with a sedentary lifestyle, permanent liver scarring can occur. This greatly diminishes the organ's ability to process out toxins and over time can lead to an expansive range of other negative health concerns. Another study suggests that high fructose corn syrup may also cause a fatty liver. And mercury exposure from high fructose corn syrup. Did you know high fructose corn syrup is often loaded with alarmingly high levels of mercury? Yeah, and if you don't know, mercury is very toxic. One study found mercury in over 50% of samples tested. Mercury exposure can result in irreversible brain and nervous system damage, especially in young, growing bodies. Way too many foods aimed at children are loaded with high fructose corn syrup. Wow. Just because they want to save a couple bucks. But there are alternatives to high fructose corn syrup because the dangers of high fructose corn syrup are both numerous and severe. If it's in your diet, remove it. Some estimate more than 1/3 of the American food supply has been polluted by this trash. I urge you to read product labels and avoid those with high fructose corn syrup. Replace high fructose corn syrup with raw honey for sweetening needs. All right, next we have food colors. FD&C red number 40, for example, is linked to behavioral. It's linked to. Okay. We got food colors. FD&C red number 40, for example, is linked to behavioral issues in children. Nearly all artificial foods colored are derived from petroleum. It may be contaminated with aluminum. Yeah, so you're swallowing aluminum, guys. Genetically modified ingredients, or GMOs. Like I said, this is a whole nother topic within itself. But anyhow, not currently listed on the label because GMO, the GMO industry, aka Monsanto and DuPont, absolutely does not want people to know which foods contain GMOs. Nearly all conventionally grown corn, soy, and cotton are GMOs. They're linked to severe infertility problems and may even cause the bacteria in your body to produce and release a pesticide in your own gut. If you're not eating organic corn, you're definitely eating GMO corn. Wow. That, like I said, I'll get into GMOs here in one of the episodes, but I just do want to tell you something, that all the first world countries in the world have banned GMOs except for the United States. Why? Because it's big money. You think the FDA would ban it as well, but I think they're in on the action. And again, like I said, I'll get into that later. But yeah, like I said, all the first world countries have banned GMOs, and there's not any studies that state that GMOs are safe. All right, so we got homogenized milk. I'm not going to get into that. Okay, so let's say hydrochloride. When you see anything hydrochloride, such as pyridoxine hydrochloride or a thiamine hydrochloride, those are chemical forms of B vitamins that companies add to their products to be able to claim higher RDA values of vitamins. So basically, they're synthetic vitamins used to put in their food just so their labels can look good, like they have vitamins in them. Usually these foods don't have any nutrition value whatsoever and are injected with some type of synthetic vitamin. But these are, like I said, synthetic chemical forms of vitamins, not real vitamins from food or plants. Nutritionally, they are near useless and may actually be bad for you. Also, watch out for niacinamide and some of these names. Cyanocobalamin. Anyway, synthetic vitamin B12. Then you have hydrolyzed vegetable protein, which is another name for MSG or monosodium glutamate. And this is directly from the Mayo Clinic website on MSG. Monosodium glutamate is a flavor enhancer commonly added to Chinese food, canned vegetables, soups, and processed meats. The Food and Drug Administration, our good friends at the FDA, has classified MSG as a food ingredient that is generally recognized as safe. Of course they do. But its use remains controversial. For this reason, when MSG is added to food, the FDA requires that it be listed on the label. MSG has been used as a food additive for decades. Over the years, the FDA has received many anecdotal reports of adverse reactions to food containing MSG. These reactions, known as MSG symptom complex, include headache, flushing, sweating, facial pressure or tightness, numbness, tingling or burning in the face, neck, and other areas, rapid, fluttering heartbeats or heart palpitations, chest pain, nausea, weakness. So that sounds like a damn list of some drug side effects. But this is the trash they put in your food for you to consume. So before I get into this next one, the reason I'm doing this podcast, it kind of sparked my interest a little bit, and I did some more research on it. Was there's a guy that comes into work, and I work at a restaurant, and I always like to call him our favorite conspiracy theorist, because he always comes in and tells us that the unbrewed, the bag and box tea at room temperature turns into formaldehyde. So I tried to do some research to see if I could find if that was true. I couldn't find anything. However, I did find this. This is a long-ass word. I might not get it right, but it looks like it says dimethylpolysiloxane. We'll just call it TP for DP for short. It's called dimethylpolysiloxane. As they say, if we can't pronounce it, don't eat it. So dimethylpolysiloxane, or we'll call it DP, can contain formaldehyde. The FDA allows DP to be preserved by several different chemicals that don't have to be listed on the label either, including formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is one of the most highly toxic substances on Earth. It is linked to allergies, brain damage, cancer, and autoimmune disorders. Okay, so let's see here. I want to show, before I get into that though, DP is commonly used as a filler fluid in breast implants. However, this substance has started to be phased out due to safety concerns. Yet they put it in your food. Now, here's something interesting. You compare the ingredients list of McDonald's French fries in the United States versus the UK version, and I was floored to witness the drastic differences. Europeans do not use DP, as they don't use GMOs or any other of this toxic crap. Look closely at the ingredients in McDonald's French fries. Alright, so let's see what it says. First, let's see the United Kingdom and what they put in their French fries. Potatoes, vegetable oil, dextrose, which is only added at the beginning of the season, prepared in the restaurant using non-hydrogenated vegetable oil. Salt is added after cooking. So you have potatoes, vegetable oil, dextrose, and salt. 4 ingredients. 4. You go to United States. What's in the United States McDonald's French fries? Potatoes, vegetable oil, hydrogenated soybean oil, natural beef flavor, citric acid, dextrose, sodium acid pyrophosphate, salt, prepared in vegetable oil, hydrogenated soybean oil with TBHQ and citric acid added to preserve freshness, and our good friend dimethylpolysiloxane added as an anti-foaming agent. And a secret ingredient in fountain drinks. When I drank soft drinks as a teenager, I always wondered how and why fountain drinks tasted better. My friends and I would go on and on about this and say to each other, fountain drinks are the best, and hit up the local gas station to get our fix. Thank God, those days are over. During my research, I found that fountain drinks have a totally different formula than their bottled counterparts found on store shelves. The DP is found in Diet Coke, Dr. Pepper, Sprite, Fanta, and other countless fountain drinks. The food industry doesn't want you to know about the differences either. Coca-Cola was sued for being misleading to consumers and not disclosing that Diet Coke has 2 different artificial sweeteners in the fountain version versus the one in the bottle version. I wonder if there will be another lawsuit regarding this ingredient. How many people do you think actually know that silly putty is in their Sprite? Yeah. So anyway, silly putty, the DP is used in silly putty. So yes, you're drinking silly putty. So many fast food and casual restaurants use a butter substitute called phase oil, which is basically hydrogenated soybean oil flavored to be butter. You may have never heard of the substance, but I can almost guarantee you've eaten it. If you, there was this guy, he used to cook at his fraternity and used it to cook all of their meals. Needless to say, it was horrifying finding out this after looking up the ingredients. When I saw phase oil on the list of ingredients Domino's uses, I called them up to ask why. The headquarters wouldn't tell me and asked me to leave an inquiry. I ain't got time for that, so I went straight to the source and visited a local Domino's to ask. I found out Domino's uses phase oil in their cheesy breadsticks instead of real butter. Wow. And it's important to note that most restaurants don't use this to intentionally harm us. They use it to cut costs, which seems to be the trend. You know, cut money. Who cares about the safety of people? Just as long as we're making money. So how many more people have to die from disease? So how many more people have to die from disease, and how much more are we going to pay as a nation for healthcare until the FDA wakes up and starts regulating our food? Don't let the food industry trick you with this rubbery substance. Next time you see your family or friends eating and drinking the popular products discussed, ask them, do you eat silly putty? It's funny, but it isn't. All right, so next we have phosphoric acid. Again, something used in soda. This acid used in soda to dissolve the carbon dioxide and add to the overall fizziness of the soda. Phosphoric acid will eat steel nails. It's also used by stonemasons to etch rocks. The military uses it to clean the rust off battleships. It absolutely destroys tooth enamel. When you do a Google search and search for Mountain Dew mouth to see photos of teeth rotted out by phosphoric acid. Wow, guys. This is in your soda. Things that will eat through steel nails, etch rocks, and clean rust off of battleships. I don't know if I can drink another soda after hearing that. Imagine what it's doing to your stomach, not just your teeth, but your stomach, your insides. If it can eat steel nails, it's probably wreaking havoc on your insides. And if you heard my cat in the background, I do apologize. He is my little buddy, but at the same time, he seems to not want to leave me alone sometimes. If I'm not giving him attention, he likes to get his attention, and he doesn't like when I'm trying to do my podcast and not giving him attention. So, another cameo by Toby the cat. Anyhow, we were at phosphoric acid, propylene glycol. Propylene glycol is used in the automotive industry to winterize RVs. In other words, propylene glycol is another form. Are you ready for this? Antifreeze. Propylene glycol is antifreeze. It's also used to make the fake blueberries you see in blueberry muffins, bagels, and breads. That's not all. propylene glycol, I think I call it glycol, it's glycol, is found in a lot of other things. So, to dive and get a little more in depth into what propylene glycol is, and this is from Drakes.com website. Propylene glycol, we'll call it PG for right now because I don't feel like calling it propylene glycol all the time, is the third product in a chemical process beginning with propane, a byproduct of fossil fuel, oil refining, and natural gas processing, and also found in nature as a byproduct of fermentation. Propene is converted to propylene oxide, a volatile compound used frequently in the creation process of polyurethane plastics and to create propylene glycol. Propylene oxide is considered a probable carcinogen. Carcinogen means it causes cancer. And finally, through the hydrolyzation process, separating molecules by the addition of water, you get propylene glycol. A colorless creamy liquid is classified by the chemical formula C3H802. Another name for it is propane 1,2-diol, which is sometimes used when listing it as a compound on ingredient labels. As it's found in food as an additive, the U.S. Department of Agriculture refers to it via the E number E1520. It's completely soluble in water, and one major purpose it serves is as a vehicle for topical products such as lotions. All right, so you're going to find it, in a large number, basically a lot of processed foods, cosmetics, medications, and e-cigarettes. The liquid substance is fraught with inconsistencies in research, as well as many differing opinions on whether propylene glycol is a dangerous toxin or mostly harmless compound. Anyway, what I'm saying is glycol is something that's used in refining oil and natural gas and creating polyurethane plastics, and it's also used to create antifreeze. But we're eating this crap. Next, sodium nitrate. You'll probably find this on your favorite processed meats like pepperoni and beef jerky. But anyway, let's get into this. It says sodium nitrate is a cancer-causing red-coloring chemical added to bacon, hot dogs, sausage, beef jerky, ham, lunch meats, pepperoni, and nearly all processed meats, strongly linked to brain tumors, pancreatic cancers, and colon cancers. The USDA once tried to ban it from the food supply, but was outmaneuvered by the meat industry, which now dominates USDA regulations. So, wow, it's all about the money, isn't it? Sodium nitrate is a complete poison. Let me reread that. Sodium nitrate is a complete poison used to make meats look fresh. Countless children die of cancer each year from sodium nitrate-induced cancers. Wow. There's a lot more. But let's get into these food label tricks that they use. Before we get into that, though, there's a couple other things I wanted to look at. Trisodium phosphate. Trisodium phosphate, people. This is ridiculous when I came up with this. Somebody brought this to my attention that the trisodium phosphate is in cereal and was in what is it? General Mills? Yeah, General Mills cereal. Do you know what trisodium phosphate is? This is in our food, people. Trisodium phosphate is used to strip paint. You can go to Home Depot right now and get a can of trisodium phosphate. Do you think you can go into Home Depot right now and open up a can of trisodium phosphate and try to drink it? What do you think is going to happen if you try to drink some trisodium phosphate? Or, I don't know, it might be a powder. But I'm looking at a picture of trisodium phosphate, the box. It's an all-purpose heavy-duty cleaner. It's called the original deck and siding cleaner. Effectively controls lead paint dust and cleans, I got the hiccups, but it cleans surfaces in preparation for painting. Means it strips paint. And it says right here on the label, warning, harmful if swallowed. Eye and skin irritations may cause burns. It may cause burns. And we're putting this in food. Who got the idea to put trisodium phosphate in your food? I mean, is it a flavor enhancement or what? I just don't see how somebody can say, hey, let's sprinkle some trisodium phosphate on the food and see how it tastes today. I don't know about you, but I don't go to Home Depot to shop for my groceries. So, all right. So let's get into some food label tricks, how they use trickery into making you believe that things are healthy. Here's a trick that food companies frequently use to pack more sugar into their products without making sugar look like the first ingredient. Ingredient labels you see must list the most prominent ingredients first, and some consumers might freak out if they saw a box of cereal that said sugar, whole grain, wheat, corn, and so on. Instead, the company used 3 or 4 different forms of sugar to distribute them farther down the label like this. Whole grain wheat, sugar, corn syrup solids. Sugar, obviously, is sugar. Corn syrup is sugar. Corn syrup solids is sugar. This way, the first ingredient looks like whole grain wheat, when in reality, the cereal might be over 50% sugars. And they like to trick you with that little whole heart healthy and all this. This is just crazy. All right, guys. So, as I was saying earlier, I was going to get into the whole FDA thing. Before I did any research on it, I had a theory about the FDA. The FDA in America, called the Food and Drug Administration, controls your food and they control your drugs, right? So, what's to say that Big Pharma, who are making trillions and probably quadrillions of dollars, puts money into the FDA to put out reports that deem certain additives and preservatives safe to use? So the FDA puts out those reports that say trisodium phosphate, a paint stripper, that's toxic and cause burns on your skin. They consider that safe to use in food. So you can consume these additives, these chemicals, these preservatives, these carcinogens, things that'll make you fat, sick, diseased, cancerous. And what happens when you get sick? You have to go to the doctor. And what does the doctor do? The doctor prescribes you with drugs. Drugs that he probably gets a kickback on. It's all one big vicious circle. So, this was my theory before I did any research on the reality behind the Food and Drug Administration. And here's what I read, and this is off of Mercola.com. It says the FDA is officially sworn to protect public health by assuring the safety and security of America's food supply, products, medicine, and medical devices, make them safer, more effective, and more affordable, and provide the public with the information about food and medicine that they need to improve their health. And yet, despite numerous FDA regulations, death from adverse drug reactions is still one of the leading causes of death in the United States, killing at least 106,000 yearly. Most of these deaths are from expected. Again, most of these deaths are from expected adverse reactions because they are extensions of the drug's actions. A mere 6% of all adverse drug reactions are properly identified. That means only 6%, people, of adverse drug reactions are properly identified. You go to the doctor with some kind of adverse side effect from a medication that you're taking, and they think you're sick, and what do? They give you more medication. As a result, the mortality rate for people between the ages of 45 to 64 who took their prescription drugs correctly rose 90% in just 5 years. That is ridiculous, people. The mortality rate for people ages 45 to 64 rose 90% in 5 years from those taking prescription drugs correctly. Even if you check the labels or not, the safety of the products you consume has been compromised by the very agency assigned to protect them. The FDA has lost face because it is now so closely linked with big pharmaceutical companies. It's more beneficial and more profitable for big pharma to have more unhealthy people because that would mean more drug sales. Exactly what I've been saying. And I didn't even read this yet. I'm reading this as I'm on here with you now. And so, with me not even doing research on it and putting two and two together, I can't understand how other people don't see the connection. It says even if the FDA's own scientists have cast a doubt on the agency's credibility, and it's not just Dr. David Graham, the FDA scientist, who exposed the dangers of prescription drug Vioxx. In a 2002 survey revealed that more than hundreds of FDA scientists lacked confidence in the agency's ability to adequately monitor the safety of prescription drugs once they are on the market. Others questioned the FDA's drug assessment and labeling processes. With the FDA and Big Pharma seemingly in cahoots, unsafe drugs are getting approved and natural medicine is being persecuted because it poses a threat to big drug companies. That, I can tell you, is 100% true. There's a natural healing center here in my local town of Toledo, Ohio, that she does natural healing. The FDA has been after her for years, and finally they arrested her for drug trafficking because she was using marijuana as a way of healing. This woman has cured people's cancers. My aunt was dying of mold poisoning. She went there and they naturally relieved her of mold poisoning. Natural cures are there, people. They don't want you to know about them. So it says, if natural medicine is suppressed, it means that you no longer have the choice to pick safer alternatives to improve your health, and will have to rely on all the wonderful drugs that Big Pharma is cooking up. The FDA has put health freedom in danger and is seeking to eliminate natural health alternatives through a campaign of censorship, distortion, and lies. Americans are paying billions of hard-earned dollars in health care and drugs, but are not getting any healthier. Good health has become a luxury thanks to the FDA drug racket. How many more have to die before the FDA Con Act is stopped? Are you willing to have the FDA are you still willing to have the FDA to safeguard your health? Wow, guys. Wow. There's a bunch of theories that we can go into. I'm not going to get into today. Theories that involved the deep New World Order type stuff where they're trying to kill off the population and keep the elites here and dwindle down the population. Those are other subjects I can get into later, but my assumptions were correct, people. The FDA is in cahoots with Big Pharma to make you fat, make you unhealthy, make you have cancer, make you have diabetes, whatever. Do you think there's a cure for diabetes? Yes, there's a cure for diabetes. It's not eating the crap that they're trying to feed you. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. I'm on a low-carb diet right now where I'm just eating meats and veggies, natural products. I could go organic, yes, and that would be even more beneficial for me. Right now, just organic is not affordable for me right now. So, and there's other Americans in that same position. But you need to wake up. Is it possible to eliminate every single thing from your diet? No. But it is easy to remove the fake crap, the sodas, the processed foods, the potato chips, things like that. If it doesn't grow out of the ground, if it wasn't a living thing, you shouldn't be eating it. If it's processed, you shouldn't be eating it, is what I mean. So, what do you guys think about it? I want to hear your opinion on this one. Hit me up on my Facebook page under Ed Talks. Hit me up under my YouTube page, Ed Talks. You can go to edtalks.live. You can go to iTunes and look up Ed Talks. It's all over the place now, man. Like I said, edtalks.live. You can go to Podbean. Download the Podbean app. I also have my own app. If you go to my Facebook page, the app is available for download for iOS and Android. Until next time, guys, this is Eddie Ortega. You've listened to What the Hell Are You Eating on Ed Talks. See you next week.